Welcome to Indisputable. I am Sharon Reed, in for the good doctor, Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Today, the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, joins us once again as our special guest co-host, Mayor Mondale Robinson. The yellow looks good. You look good, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to keep up with your energy.
Well, we'll see about that. But your sunshine, well, you're always shining so bright. And because you are the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, this first story, I want to kind of see what you think about it. All the stories today, but this one in particular. Mayor threatened in voicemail left by law firm staffer. According to NJ.com, at a December 11th news conference, Mayor LaDana Thomas of Penns Grove, New Jersey, says she has been a victim of attacks from a local law firm staffer who not only threatened her, but called her racial slurs. She'd go on to play audio of a February 2021 voicemail allegedly made by the Lento Law Group's firm administrator, one John Groff. Now, the New Jersey Globe reported the recording as saying, quote, "I'll be damned if I'm going to have some black effing B. Okay, tell somebody that it's my effing fault, that she don't know what the F she's doing. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to destroy her. I'm going to effing destroy her." New Jersey Globe with the inflammatory details there. That's the reporting, folks. That's the reporting. So you have two players in this now, one unwilling, the other is the alleged perpetrator of this. According to NJ.com, Thomas, who won her first office bid in 2019, was recently reelected as mayor in November and is the first woman to hold the position. During her campaign, though, ex-mayor John Washington, pictured, challenged Thomas's decision to be listed as an independent, resulting in her being considered a write-in candidate. The Lento Law Group represented Washington when he filed the motion. Additionally, last month, when Republican candidate Louis Pasquale challenged Thomas's win in court, he too was represented by the Lento Law Group. Last week, a Salem County judge granted Thomas's motion to dismiss the Lento Law Group as Pasquale's counsel, citing a conflict of interest. The judge also lifted the temporary hold on certifying Thomas's write-in victory over Pasquale, though that ruling could continue to be challenged in court. Now, the voicemail and a string of other concerning calls were left for Richard Rivera, the town's current police director. Rivera stated he had notified the state attorney general's office and the FBI following the incident more than 2 years ago, but he didn't get a response from the AG's office until earlier this month. The alleged calls came after Thomas cut ties with the Lento Law Group, which served as Penns Grove's attorney in 2021, citing Groff's criminal past as a determining factor in her decision. Lana Blackstar with the reporting here. Groff, the law firm's administrator, has an extensive rap sheet that includes as many as 8 convictions of various offenses, including check and insurance fraud. 2016, Groff was accused of promising to keep a Camden man out of jail in exchange for sex with both him and his girlfriend. New Jersey Globe, again, salacious details here. Thomas explained at the conference per NJ.com, "After I made that decision, I was threatened by John Groff, the firm's office manager, that if I did not provide the Lento Law Group with a contract, that he would indeed destroy me." He made this threat to then police practices consultant Richard Rivera, who is now our police director. He also made those comments to others. Mayor LaDana Thomas reporting that. Groff remains an employee, but the law firm said they are looking into Thomas's claims. Lento Law Group is currently investigating news reports of a purported voicemail that was made public despite it being confidential and covered by attorney-client privilege, their statement to NJ.com said. Because these news reports concern both the firm's work with previous and current clients and an employment matter, we cannot provide further public comment at this time. Garbage. I heard a lot of garbage there, okay? If I own a law firm, disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even going to play one today. I'm not going to play one. But if you were telling me something about one of my employees who had an extensive criminal past, and look, people change, people turn their lives around, I would do more than just release a statement about how someone made something that should be confidential public. I want to know everything, Mayor. I want to know everything. I want to get to the bottom of this. And that's why I called it garbage off the top.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a lot of spin from two parties. Here's the thing. Well, I should say there's two people that fail epically at this. And when I say people, I mean institutions. The first one was the AG and the FBI. The fact that this police director at that time, the consultant Riviera, didn't hear anything back until this began to get steam outside of the state. And I know, Sharon, our job is not to center ourselves in the news, but I have firsthand knowledge of SBI and other law enforcement agencies sitting idle as people threaten my life, the clans particularly. So it is unbelievable to me that to hear this is happening up and down the East Coast and probably all over this country for sure, for anybody that's not willing to keep the status quo. The second institution that failed is definitely the law firm. I mean, this idea that you're upset that this was supposed to be client privilege, when in actuality, I don't understand how it can be privileged when the client, because this person was acting in and on behalf of the as a police consultant for the town. So the client turned it over on you. They said you were acting unscrupulous, not you per se, but one of your employees, one of your agents. So this is just absolutely ridiculous to me. And the fact that this is the first woman, and you see actors and people forget this so often, it becomes people in general, people in power, regardless of their race, as we saw the ex-mayor or the last mayor who was a black man working right along with this group who are willing to work with anybody that can get her out of office so they can keep their contract, keep their good boy network. And I think that is what sometimes falls on deaf ear when we talk about patriotism in this country, especially in politics.
Yeah, it sounds like power and corruption meet again, Mayor. That's exactly what it sounds like. And they tried to bully this woman. It was a coordinated effort. That's what I see circumstantially. Okay. And that the law firm would release that statement that they seem more concerned about some gobbledygook about confidentiality instead of these hellish allegations. Okay. And that's why I thought, well, what better person to have on today? I hate that you have gone through any of this, but the fact that you have, and here we see just a little further to the north, another mayor going through something that has some similarities. You're the perfect person to give us the context here. I'll give you the last word, Mayor, because I people always want a story to have a beginning, a middle, and end, a resolution, if you will. I don't know that if this kind of brazen conduct is going on now, that this will truly be resolved in a way that we don't see it play out again.
Yeah, and what's more damning about is they're not gonna stop. This him trying to destroy her will not end even if he get fired. And he has friends, he will have friends and people that will participate or law enforcement that will sit idle on her claims and things. And she will always be demonized. I know this space, I occupy it. And it's a sad space to be in because what will happen is we'll turn our heads, we'll forget about Mayor Thompson, and she'll still be suffering through this where people are trying to damn her, one for ending a contract with this law firm who seemed like they did have conflict of interest, and then also this employee who's upset because whatever grievance he has, it sounds like because she's a woman and she's black. And I think
Yeah.
those two things are something that we will move on from, but she can never move on from
Yeah.
being a woman and black.
hmm and assassinate her character. You know a little something about that. They try and try, but you're still shining bright, Mayor, still shining bright. We wish her the best. We hope that we can just get to the bottom of this. The whole truth needs to come out. An update for you now, video update. Remember the story we told you about? That genderqueer book and the search for it. Here's some of that body cam footage was obtained by the Daily Beast.
Maybe it'll help you to pick what book.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the ones that would be on one of these shelves. I don't actually currently see it here, so
So
it may
I
or
will
may
show
not
you.
be out.
Have you looked through the book yourself?
I did read it back when it first came out. Yeah,
So
but I don't really recall.
this is the issue.
Okay.
It's not the general idea of what the book's about. It's you can't present that kind of material to people under
Okay.
18. So that's our concern. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it's the memoir about coming of age. I mean, you're welcome to remove it if you see it, but
So yeah,
I don't see it. So
could it be on a?
it's possible that a teacher has it. A lot of teachers and other people have borrowed it as well, but it's not something that is out for everybody. So this is special approval only. So.
Okay. I mean, as far as any of these other books, are there similar images that could be in any of them?
Not that I know of. You're welcome to flip.
I'm not looking to flip through every single book here.
Yeah, not that I know of. No.
Okay.
But
any place else in the room that
they're
would be left floating around?
You're welcome to look around. I have not seen it. So.
It seems like you kind of keep that material over that
I do
way.
keep the material separate on purpose.
And obviously, it's like I said, it's not the general material itself, it's the images that are in it that constitutes material that you can't disseminate to children. And again, just because a teacher specifically has it doesn't mean they're in any kind of trouble. So I don't want you to think that, like if you think you know who the teacher is, I don't want you to.
Yeah, no, there's books on here that are meant for teacher guides on how to.
Full on investigation here. What's next? Do they still go by the Dewey Decimal System in schools, or is it much more sophisticated? Now it worked, but he really wants to find this book, perhaps wants to read it himself. This is alarming, to say the least. As we covered last week, an anonymous complaint went to police in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, to report about the graphic memoir Queer, which is among the most banned books in the country. I think we all know what the landscape looks like at this point. The complaint led to an officer visiting an 8th grade classroom at W.E.B. Du Bois Regional Middle School to search for that book. Body cam rolling, you see. Daily Beast with the update for us. The incident sparked national media attention, an apology from the department's police chief, and a walkout from LGBTQ high school students. Are you really calling the cops over a book? Read one student's protest sign, which was published in the Berkshire Eagle. According to the officer's narrative provided via public records request, an individual wishing to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation came into the police station and shared that they were concerned about images in a book they saw in a classroom. The police department kept the reporting party's name confidential in the incident report, but did not extend the same courtesy to the English teacher. Document says that the complaining party shared the first name of the teacher, whom they accused of keeping a book with illustrations of sexual content on a desk in their classroom. This person claimed they once observed a student sitting on the teacher's lap and that they were concerned about the teacher and other staff discussing subjects related to LGBTQ material and telling them not to tell their parents about it, the report states. The witness snapped photographs of the book's illustrations, which included depictions of a sex toy and oral sex. And the officer's report notes that the images could be a violation of a state law against the dissemination of obscene material. Before the plainclothes officer showed up after school hours on December 8th, they contacted the school district superintendent, Peter Dillon, right there on the left, who then alerted the principal, Miles Wheat, on the right. The report states Dillon, quote, did not have an issue with cops visiting and following up with the complaint. Wheat and the officer then met with the 8th grade English teacher in her classroom. The teacher says she hasn't seen the book, quote, in a long time. According to the officer's report, he informed the teacher that the anonymous tipster took a photo of the book a week or two prior. Reached by the Daily Beast, the teacher targeted in the complaint called the situation a horrific, lie-riddled, homophobic attack on the only queer teacher and our brave LGBTQ plus and ally students who enjoy a safe space in our voluntary Gender and Sexuality Alliance Club. She described this weekly lunchtime club as, quote, deeply beloved and completely run by students, sanctioned and paid for by the school, and well supported by their grateful parents. The teacher, the report notes, also runs an LGBTQ club meeting group. Principal told the investigating officer he was not aware of any complaints or concerns about the teacher or any other teachers involved in the club. The educator, who asked to remain anonymous, said students decide on the club's activities, which mostly involve things like making paper snowflakes and drinking hot chocolate, with the only unifying rules being that everyone is welcome and everyone respects each other. Teacher said she was horrified that someone in our school community would have such hatred in their hearts to attack already marginalized teachers, students, and families, and that law enforcement gave credence to the complaint. In his report, the cop indicated he spoke to Police Chief Paul Storty on the left after this visit, was advised to contact District Attorney Timothy Shugru on the right for guidance. December 13th, the officer and Storty had a call with an assistant district attorney, and the cop was told that he may need to write a search warrant to get any additional documentation from the school. The next day, however, the district attorney and school superintendent had talked directly, and it was no longer a criminal matter, and the school would handle it internally, the incident report states. Ruth Borquin, senior and managing attorney at the ACLU of Massachusetts, told the Daily Beast in part, quote, "This incident is a deeply concerning escalation of a vocal minority's attempts to ban books that are by and about LGBTQ people, communities of color, and other marginalized groups. Law enforcement has no role in policing materials in Massachusetts schools or educational programs." Finally, in my view, Mayor, someone said something that makes sense. This whole thing seems like a throwback episode where I'm waiting for Boss Hogg to appear with the Jump Out Boys. This whole thing that they selectively chose to keep the complaining witness a secret, right? Confidential, not because there was a drug lord running around and that person needed police protection, but because they would be held up to public rebuke, retaliation, so they said. I think some people know each other intimately and have an agenda. And that may include this officer who was chosen to do this deep dive investigation. The whole thing is a blow up of foolishness.
Yeah, I'm a little disturbed that, like, I mean, in the article they said, oh, in this, it had a conversation had to happen between the DA and the superintendent before it no longer became a police issue. It was never a police issue.
Thank you.
And if anything was to be investigated, this idea that this anonymous person saw a child sitting on someone's lap. I feel like as a teacher, I want the ability to challenge this person. This is libel. You're saying that I was doing something unscrupulous with one of my children, my students, and if I'm assuming you're a mandatory reporter because you're in that space as an adult, and also I should have the right to challenge you on that. I should know your name, and I don't think that's okay. I think it's also dangerous that we have police officers pretending that they know what's better for students than their teachers. People who went to school to educate the young. Now we have police officer who's probably been through 6 weeks, including gun training, to think they can't even manage the community, let alone children. And I am thinking this is the beginning of what was already once a thing in America. Banning books is not new, and it didn't start with Ron DeSantis, and people shouldn't think that. It started with the Daughters of Confederacy, and I can tell you the power of banning books. If you go back and look at how they built the curricula throughout the South in this country and how successful the Daughters of Confederacy were at banning what truly happened around the Civil War, and see the effectiveness of it, then you would understand that right now we still have people arguing things that were taught to their great-great-great-grands about the Civil War, meaning the lost cause is a real thing. We hear people using that silly argument. We hear people talking about Northern aggression. Even when we had, right, in the secession documents, why the Southern states seceded, which was slavery. So I think the danger of letting books be banned and then to take it a step further, letting cops especially in towns where there's 6,000 people, like it is in this town, decide which books and which teacher they're going to go out there while they protect people, seems definitely like a pathway America and democracy should not be entertaining.
Southern Daughters, you're right. Southern Daughters of the Confederacy were very successful, and their agenda was clear. We're going to rewrite history. Civil War was not about slavery at all, okay? And by the way, these slaves were singing hymns, and it made the day go by, fast, and they had a lot of fun in the fields. I'm here in the state of Georgia. And some of these writings, this fiction, belongs in the fiction section, if at all, still exists today. Still exists today. This whole thing about monuments and when they were put up, I'm thinking more along the lines of the Jimmy Carter era, okay? Than when the Civil War, was actually fought or shortly thereafter. You gotta know your history. The mayor's right. You have to know your history. But there's something else that's very disturbing here with this story, Mayor. The only LGBTQ plus teacher. Something about an allegation that a student was sitting on her lap. I get it. So we're back to people who fall into the category of LGBTQ plus are also predators. They're trying to change your kids' minds. They're after them. They're doing things inappropriately to them. This whole thing is so easy to see right through, Mayor.
Yeah, their entire stick is absolutely transparent. It's not even new anymore. We see exactly what they do. Hide your name and go and accuse the person that's the least like you. Make them different, something other. If you otherize them to the point where you could get community sentiment on your side, then you can do whatever you want to these people. Right now, in this case, it is the LGBTQI community, but we saw what Hitler did with it. He killed 6 million Jewish people. We saw what America did with it. They enslaved an entire race of people. So this othering of people that are different than you is as American as apple pie. And in this case, it is as dangerous as hell.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad that you brought up the other points, because sometimes people don't want to do that. And they say they want to rank them, that this was horrific. This was a little less horrific. It's all dangerous, folks. And you never know where it's going to lead unless you look back at history and you see where it very well could. This is indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Ritchie. Today, Mayor Mondale Robinson is our special guest co-host. Always happy to have the mayor on board to give us his positive insight, history lessons, commentary, much more indisputable to come.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to big pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor, or concern for whose toes we might step on, or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. When educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power, it makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America.
Listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I am Sharon Reed, and for Dr. Rashad Ritchie, who has earned some much needed time off, the mayor of Evansville, North Carolina, joins us today, Mayor Mondale Robinson. And Mayor, what do you say? Let's get some comments going here and see what people have to say about our first couple of stories. Some real doozies, especially that last update on W.E.B. Du Bois school there, where they were searching for that book, full-on investigation. And we're learning more, perhaps, about who was actually behind this, or the kind of person, I should say, who should be behind this. Viewer comments now. TYT member over 9,000 says, Sharon and Mayor Mondale, making me thankful for Thursday. Have there been any positive changes in your dealings with threats, Mayor? Because, again, that first story about mayor in New Jersey who was dealing with these threats, she's going through it. And unfortunately, Mayor, that's something that you know all too well, but people do want to make sure that we know you can handle yourself. But have there been any updates that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, the last update was I think the last update I gave on the show was the SBI interviewed me. They came in and interviewed me, and they told me like they were just trying to get it over with and hand all the information over to the DA. But this is after we were talking about it on this show, because they said they were going to bring charges against me again after they dropped the first charges because they couldn't do anything about it. So it's always, like I said, like what happens and what we hear about is not the end for that elected official. And that's the sad.
It's the sad part, but I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing that you provide open transparency, because it's got to be a scary situation for your family. I know you're fearless, Mayor, but these ongoing threats that seem to be coming rapid fire from everywhere. But it's important that you share, because I think that also helps, not just with us and your fans who want to keep up with you and believe in you, but also holds them accountable. So thank you for sharing that. Next, TYT reporter, this is what happens. This is about the body cam, the footage, the update, that book, looking for it. This is what happens when there is not one set standard for what can get a book ejected. These people have standards all over the place, and it really only works in each individual situation for them. Well, the thing is, whose standard is it, and why does it keep changing? The goalpost keeps moving, right? It depends on what nosy PTA mom who wishes to hide behind a cloak of anonymity wants to wake up and do that day. Whose life do I want to ruin? Who do I want to target? That's really what it's about. And so it's a very dangerous thing. YouTube now, the Jack says, I like Mondale's style. You see, Mayor, I was just telling you this, but right before we came on, doesn't he have a good style? I called it a hairdo, for lack of a better, but it just fits you, Mayor. And not everybody can wear this bold yellow sweater. So you see, it's not just me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. More on the mayor threatened. Manuel says, are they just threatening her because they can't handle a Black woman mayor? I say yes. Can we just give you a short answer? Yes, that's got to be it. One more for you. Oh, C. Michael Henson, thank you so much. We appreciate your contributions always. You're so good to us. Why is this officer's body cam covered up? I was thinking the same thing too. You're embarrassed. You're trying to target someone. I don't know who put you up to it, but knock it off. Knock it off. Okay. A lot more we have to learn on that story. And believe me, Indisputable will continue to follow it, bring you updates as they come. Now, someone else we will never stop following, doggedly so, because they're everywhere. They're growing, multiplying, if you will. And they too are fearless, sadly. But we have to stay vigilant and kind of just smoke them out wherever they are. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
But
Go ahead.
yeah,
Perfect.
cool.
All right, I'll sit here all day.
Me too.
Perfect.
And I get paid.
Good. And you're about to be fired. That's what you're about to
No,
be.
I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Is that mine? Can I get a straw with that, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. She won't budge. I appreciate you. Can I get a receipt as well? With the dumbass's name on there?
It's not my name on there.
Okay.
But you can see it right here.
All right.
No,
I'll print your receipt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Actually, you can go ahead and refund me.
I won't.
Yes, you
You
will.
got your drink.
There's...
Okay.
There's...
Yeah. Yeah, keep going. I'm gonna press charges on you.
Go ahead.
Keep
Go
going.
ahead. Go ahead. Press your charges.
I will. Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it, bitch. Do it. Do it. Press your charges.
Okay, go ahead,
it.
keep driving so I can get your license plate. You threw something at me. What do you think was gonna happen?
Here. Okay. Let's go. Do it. No.
Seems we're seeing more and more of these, assaulting people in the service industry just because I want to, right? Just on a whim. Poster of this video claims the incident happened in Plano, Texas, and that the Starbucks employee was fired for the incident. However, these claims not verified by Indisputable, but that is what the poster is claiming. Mayor, the fact that it goes on for so long and that there's dual cameras that are rolling here, footage is being recorded on both ends. What is it? Are we seeing more of these, or are we just more being recorded? I just think people are so brazen.
Yeah, I'm a descendant of those who were, in the generation before me. My mom's mom and my dad's mom both were domestics, so they worked in this house. So I think those Black women probably saw a lot of this behavior from white women, especially if they ever caught the eye of that white woman's husband and the white woman type of way about it. And then there's also what it meant to be Black enslaved in America. What I would say about this level of Karen, though, this idea that you can, in your 6-figure SUV, throw drinks at people that are serving you, it's exactly why I would be bad in this type of business, because I would teach my employees that your job has dignity, and that requires you to see humanity in what you're doing. No one is allowed to treat you like this. The way she was, and I hope this employee was not fired.
Yeah.
The way the woman was talking to her, throwing things at her. She held that cup intentionally. She was gonna throw that cup at that. I saw her armed a couple times. She snatched the arm back twice. She's looking for old drinks in her car. There's absolutely should be charges filed against this lady. And if she lost her job, the employee lost her job, then she should be talking to a lawyer about Starbucks and what it means to have a hostile work environment. Because just because this woman went home and cried about how sorry, or how she felt and how her feelings were hurt, or how bad she was treated, there's evidence to show the abuse of this employee at work, doing nothing other than not putting up with the BS from this Karen. And I think that's what it is. We've coddled Karen so long in this country that it seems to be growing exponentially. Every day I'm seeing new Karens beating up delivery drivers or male people. And I don't know what to do about it, but tell people to stand up and fight back.
Stand up, fight back. And you mentioned, in this case, Starbucks. We saw something similar at a Chipotle in Parma, Ohio, right here on Indisputable. We brought it to you at home. I think these companies have to do more. I used to be, not that long ago, of the mindset that the customer's always right. But I didn't mean this. This would have been what I would refer to as the exception, Mayor. It's not the exception. We have to rethink that customer always right thing. And I think that these companies have to step it up, offer protections, however creative you look. You come up with all these different drinks and pumpkin this and that, okay, and charge $10 for it. You can come up with some good measures, some protections for your employees that make everything go, okay? You can do that. They're already not paid enough. I'll give you the last word.
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, like you're expecting me to come here and make you that wealthy. Starbucks is as wealthy as it is because of the people that they don't give a livable wage to. It's not because of their CEO. It's not because of something great about their burnt coffee beans. It's not. It's the fact that these people get up daily and serve that coffee to people all over this country, all over the world, really. And I think that when these people are respected, when labor is respected in the way that we do dollar and capital, then I think people will understand that, you can't treat workers this way. None of us exist without service industry at all.
Yeah. And don't forget, you're also very annoying with your double pump of this foam, long shot, all this other stuff with a twist in a cup with no ice, add the ice at the end, all these other things that people put on it and dare you to get it wrong, or this may happen. Okay. So I too think charges should be filed. And we all have to come together and fight this, Anti-Karens unite.
You're screaming at employees in Walmart. Get out of here.
That's racist.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass.
What you looking for, bro?
Hey.
What you looking for, bro? You don't live there.
Huh?
You don't live there.
What you talking about, buddy?
I know who it is. It's a woman that live there, bro. Ain't no dudes live there.
Buddy, I lost my key. That's what I did, buddy.
Bro, you don't have to move around, big homie.
The what?
You don't live there, bro. You don't live there, bro. You need to move around, bro.
Okay, I'm coming around right now, dog.
Huh?
I'm coming around right now, dog.
All right, now you gonna have to move around, bro. You ain't even live there, bro.
I'm getting the cops right now.
Talk, bro. I'm gonna let you know. Hey, I'm gonna let you make the choice, bro.
Why?
Cause you don't live there. Get out them people's door, bro.
That's my house, buddy.
That's not your house.
That's my house right there.
That's not your house, big homie.
Oh, man. All right.
Huh? That's not where you live at, big homie.
Okay, figure it out real quick, buddy.
Right. Hey, bro. Hey, bro, you don't have to move around, bro.
No, I'm not moving around nothing, buddy. It's my house. I ain't moving nothing,
that's not
buddy.
where you live, bro. That's gonna get you hurt, bro.
Why?
That's gonna get you hurt because you don't
Why?
live there.
Why?
You don't live there.
Buddy, I got it.
Sloppy and belligerent, sloppy, drunk, belligerent. Okay. And you almost wouldn't blame someone for not getting involved, maybe just peeking out the window, especially, a Black man. May not want to get involved because you know what happens. The lie becomes the truth and the real perpetrator becomes the victim too often. We'll see what happens in this case. There's more.
So you might want to move away from my daughter.
Yes, somebody beat the door, dog.
But I'm telling you now, I got a gun, so this ain't your.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, somebody trying to break in my door, I'm trying to tell you.
But you at my house, and I have a gun.
Okay, 7921, man, 7921.
This is not 7921. I'm telling you now, I have a gun.
Okay.
Get shot, you better get away from me.
Okay, I'm outside, I'm not even.
You ain't at your house, bro. You drunk.
This is my house, homeboy.
That's not where you live at. You drunk,
Okay,
bro.
all right.
Yeah, move around, bro. I ain't gonna move around. It's all women that live here, bro. I don't do that. So you have to move around, bro. Wear your shoes. Get your shoes. Get your little sit on the ground, man. Move around.
Dude, what the f is going on with you, man?
I'm gonna show you.
You better listen to him if you don't want to get shot tonight.
Don't do that, bro. That's dangerous, man.
All right, buddy. This is my house. This is my house. I'm calling my brother. That's it. That's it, man.
There, bro.
Good night, brother.
Don't live there.
This is my house.
It's not your house, bro. I'm finna listen to myself.
Vai é pure
I'm
forma
finna
é
listen to myself.
aqui, boy. Vai dar
I mean, it goes on and on and on. Video eventually cuts off. After back and forth between the neighbor and the man, it's unclear when the man left the woman's porch. In the comment section, the neighbor explained why he stood up for the woman. I couldn't live with myself if I sat and watched something happen while waiting on someone else to intervene, he wrote. So I had to let Buddy know to move around. And a black star with the details here. This is so disturbing because, as I said, Mayor, it went on and on and on. And in this case, I also was struck, and I wonder if you saw it too, by how much grace they showed him. Both the woman who continued to say, I have a gun, get off of my porch, and the neighbor who courageously engaged and said, not today, not tonight. They showed so much grace. And I couldn't help but think of young Ralph Yarl, who simply knocked on the wrong door and look what happened. Open fire, just going to pick up his younger brothers in daylight and open fire. They showed this drunk, belligerent clown more grace than Ralph got. And I do think that, that's something that has to be mentioned, Mayor.
I think people don't want to hear the harsh realities of what it means to be Black and American. And I'm not laughing at the situation because it's not funny. I'm laughing because the privilege that is, I look at this video and see a privilege. This man has never been told that you can't get drunk and just walk in any neighborhood and take your shoes off at somebody's house and be this way. You don't need to be careful when you are a white man in America. There's no point to be careful. There's nothing to be careful of. The entire world are your roadblocks. The entire world are your gutter guards to keep you from falling in the gutter, so to say. For Black people, I mean, there's a guy who crashed his car in North Carolina, went and knocked on a door for help and got murdered. You just named Ralph. There's so many stories of how bad this turns out. There are people been laying in their bed as Black and got shot. This much grace was not given to them. And this is only possible when America continues to live out her racist intentions. And I don't think we need to stop calling it broke. The system is not broken. America is acting just as she was designed to act, where the protection of white people is higher than anything and everything else. If it wasn't so, the education system wouldn't fail Black people at the rate it does. The police system wouldn't kill and lock up Black people at the rate they do. And white people wouldn't have the ability to show up in this manner. This is not to say that all white people are racist, and it's a shame that I have to say that, but it is to say that all white people benefit and have this luxury. I have white friends who tell me their parents have never told them, you need to be careful when you're stopped by the police. There's certain things you can and can't do. That's a thing that young kids in Black communities know. You can lose your childhood for being Black. That is not a thing for white people. It's not a reality.
Yeah. I don't know how many other 13-year-olds were told, white ones, not to play with a toy gun, that they wouldn't get a chance to explain it. Tamir Rice, right? But it just, to me, is enormous privilege, the way this person was behaving, drunk, intoxicated. You're right. And you can't just blame it all on the alcohol, but it's this sense of knowing that I'm not in real danger. Maybe I'm Robert Downey Jr. and I'm breaking into a neighbor's home and I'm found asleep in a child's bed. And that's just, I'm not roughed up in any way, because that wouldn't happen to me. This is America for some people. Much more to come on Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Rashad Ritchie today. We'll be right back.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
How in the world are you going to get the right to vote if you don't already have the right to vote? That's impossible. Reason they tell you things are impossible is because they don't want you to try. It only took 7 years for that to get an amendment to get a right to vote.
Does this result in millions upon millions of Americans losing their coverage? And we've been waiting to find out, and now we know, yes, it will cut millions.
Public education was supposed to be the way to equalize everyone regardless of their socioeconomic status. But if you come from a family that's poor, how are you going to afford grade school for your kids?
This fight is about fairness and morality. It's about the American values.
You think that black people all across the country, in every city, were all lying when they said the police abuse us and the police kill us when they should? No, of course they weren't lying. Yes, it does happen. Yes, they do get targeted more.
Why are we going to put immigrants in prison for 5 years, which American taxpayers have to pay for, if we're so concerned with immigrants using up our so-called resources?
We're gonna do both. We're gonna fight Trump and we're gonna fight the establishment. It's not that hard. Yes, you can do both at the same time. Go tell them.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I am Sharon Reed, and for Dr. Rashad Ritchie, Mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, Mayor Mondale Robinson joins us once again as our special guest co-host. And it always happens like this after, the Karen segment. We do get your comments. TYT members, Eclectic Miscellaneous says, I'm curious, Sharon and Mondale, of the Karens you've covered or seen in the news this year, which one sticks out as the worst? Oh, Mayor, this is a tough one, because I'm just going top of mind, where when we just saw the one woman throwing her Starbucks, really assaulting another employee, but there's so many.
Yeah,
there was yesterday, with the Amazon worker just trying to deliver packages. Amazon got to do something to save your employees. Okay, well, independent contractors, that's how they're getting around it. What about you, Mayor?
I think for me, the worst one, it was a couple. The two young black boys at the swimming pool, and the older white man.
Yep.
He was pretty horrible. And then I think also the one about the woman who tried to say that the 14-year-old in the hotel in New York stole her phone, and she basically harassed the young man and his dad. And yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah. So sat with Gayle King as if she was worthy doing an interview where she was even more insulting and even insulted the interviewer. So that one was off the charts. But as I said, each one does seem to at least offer the opportunity to get worse and worse. Eclectic miscellanea, because these people are aspiring to go bigger, go bolder. And it's a real problem, really is. Thank you for the question. YouTube now, about the Karen. DJC Intron 1 says, what's wrong with this, Karen? You don't treat people who make your food like this. Yeah, it was also stupid. And I don't believe that the Starbucks employee was even considering doing anything to her beverage. But it's stupid. You know, when someone's making your meal, why you would even behave in this manner, why you do it anyway. It's just so ignorant. See, Michael Henson, thank you again. Appreciate you. People that abuse service workers are going straight to you know where, somewhere that rhymes with jail. Straight there, right away. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Is that what they say? About the anti-Karen, black man who stepped in and said, you're not going to do this to my neighbor, when a drunk fool showed up on her porch and would not leave. Like this went on and on. DeVar Ellis says, listen, Karen, you are in the wrong. Hood is filled with a lot of people that don't tolerate this. Best thing you could do is move around, man. Okay. Again, the mayor talked about the privilege. Okay. This intoxicated, belligerent man didn't really care where he was. I want what I want, and that's entry into this home. So no matter what time of night or who I'm scaring, I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to keep going. So you're right, though. You never know when you catch the wrong one or the right one. Maybe it's the right one. See, Michael Henson again about the anti-Karen. Thank you again. Very generous. Homeowner and this black man showed this drunk male Karen incredible mercy because they are decent people. Yes, they didn't shoot through the door or run him down armed with a shotgun. That's right. You see that there? Actually seeing this person who did not offer them anything of grace, that they believe still a human being, perhaps at the lower end of the spectrum in this moment in time, but still a human being. Going to try to apply a little pressure, get him out of there, but didn't hurt him. Could have. But would they have been told that was justified? I don't know. I don't know, or do I? We're going to move now to an update. We do have a jury has acquitted 3 cops in the 2020 death of Manuel Ellis. Let's give you the details on the update. The 3 Washington State police officers found not guilty of all criminal charges in the fatal arrest of Manuel Ellis. The more than 2-month trial ended December 21st as the jury acquitted Matthew Collins, Christopher Burbank, and Timothy Rankin on multiple charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter after defense attorneys argued that Ellis died from methamphetamine ingestion combined with the effects of an enlarged heart. Where have we heard this before? Wonder if he had not encountered them, if he'd still be alive with his enlarged heart and perhaps some meth use. We'll never know, will we? Let's give you a reminder of the incident. The police reportedly stopped him because he allegedly harassed a woman on the street, but multiple witnesses disputed that account and said police approached him unprovoked. During that detainment, a nearby home's doorbell security camera caught Ellis repeatedly telling the officers he couldn't breathe, something else we're familiar with. George Floyd, Eric Garner. His death occurred 3 months before George Floyd's, which sparked global demonstrations to end violent policing practices. Statement from the Ellis family attorney now. Biggest reason why I personally think this jury found reasonable doubt is because the defense was essentially allowed to put Manny Ellis on trial. That is textbook, folks. Okay, there's actually a blueprint for how they deal with these things should they ever make it to trial, which is rare. This is a blueprint for it, folks. The Ellis family lawyer, Matthew Erickson, according to the Associated Press, made the comments. The defense attorneys were allowed to dredge up Manny's past and repeat to the jury again and again Manny's prior arrest in 2015 and 2019. That unfairly prejudiced jurors against Manny. Something they do in the grand jury, too. Okay? Michael Brown, when we finally got the transcript there, we know why the officer was never charged. Because Michael Brown didn't present evidence or allegations against the officer. This was all about Michael Brown, the big, aggressive, violent, now dead, Black man. The officers still face a separate lawsuit from Ellis's family, filed in U.S. District Court in September 2021 that had been on hold due to the criminal trial. Civil case includes claims against 2 additional officers, Macy Ford, who helped restrain Ellis, Armando Farinas, who placed a spit hood on the victim, who were cleared to return to duty after an internal review found they did nothing wrong. Last year, the Ellis family settled federal wrongful death lawsuit against Pierce County, where Tacoma is located, for $4 million. Atlanta Black Star. Okay, Pierce County knows the deal. Pay, but don't really stop this behavior. Just pay out, make it go away. Because after all, the people are going to pay for this until the people decide we're not going to tolerate this anymore. Money doesn't matter, folks. The behavior does. City of Tacoma said the verdicts won't impact an ongoing internal affairs investigation, the results of which are expected to be announced by Tacoma Police Chief Avery Moore within 2 weeks, going into 2024. And this happened in 2020, but okay. Accompanied by a decision on potential disciplinary actions for the officers, up to and including termination. Atlanta Black Star with the details. So they were waiting for the justice system to do something that they could already do, right? These investigations are going on. You tell me what you see. There's not statutes, okay? There's just your own bylaws, your own internal affairs department, Tacoma Police. Is this behavior okay or not? Is this conduct okay or not? You have all the facts. Okay, it's nearly 4 years later? You know everything you need to know. 3 years later, pardon me. Point is, it's been long enough. No leadership. Let's just wait and see how this shakes out. And that's another tactic, isn't it, Mayor? Just let it long and slow. Long and slow.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the case, so they can eventually put these guys back in uniform to do what they're trained to do, which is kill Black people, kill people of color, and people don't want to hear that. But I keep going back to this, and I sound like TYT's broken historian, right? The broken record. Police departments in the United States have their root in slave catchers. Don't think the reason these police officers keep getting off because the organization, the foundation of police departments in this country was to catch or kill Black men running away and Black women running away from slavery. I don't see a difference. When you look at the numbers, how are we less than 5% of the general population, but the leading dyers from police lethal force, right? And if you're between the ages of 16 and 29, it's one of the leading causes of death. Police officers are. So this is not a broken system. It's working as it was designed. And we got to acknowledge that if we're ever to get right. These juries keep finding these people innocent because they don't see a right that a Black person owns that a white cop or any cop has to abide or listen to. The third cop that showed up walked up and just put his knee on this man's back, whose hand were already up this is what was said from people, eyewitness testimony. His hands were already up. Third officer walks up. He's on the ground and put his knee right on his back. What is that? That is not how you treat human.
The 400-year history, racist history of policing in America, okay, from slave patrols to now traffic stops. There are writings about this. There are dissertations that have been done. Plenty of facts to back it up. Plenty of facts. I don't need those papers. I know you know history, Mayor. And it seems to me that while we have no other way to protect ourselves often, that we have to continue to have conversations in these marginalized communities. We have to continue to say, do you really want to call the police? Figure it out. I don't know what the right answer is, because if you need help now, do you really have an opportunity to say, what's the bigger threat? The perp who's trying to bust through my door, maybe is inside the house, or the police who may come after? The domestic violence situation that I'm enduring, or the police who may come to investigate it. Okay, we've seen children who called the police and ended up shot. We reported it right here. I'll give you the last word, Mayor. It's just so disheartening that they keep being, if it goes the distance. They keep being found not guilty, reasonable doubt. There always is when a Black victim is involved here. And I do say victim.
And there's another horror in there too, right? The fact that, the fact that taxpayers end up paying for this negligence. Millions and millions of dollars paid in settlements over and over again. Basically saying that, we are liable as taxpayers for the incompetence of these cops or the racism of these cops. But don't worry, they're still on the force.
Yeah. And I think for so many people, and I still want to believe most people are decent. Doesn't mean that we don't have a problem with privilege and people not even realizing that they do have privilege, but most people are decent. But we've got to bring our heads up from busy lives, no fault of our own. I'm not placing blame. And we've got to really study this game that's going on, okay? Because we become outraged. We see the headline on the news that's not even reported correctly because it's reported from a point of view of privilege most of the time, okay? I've been on the inside. I can tell you that's most of the time. Well-intentioned people who don't even get the things that they're writing and saying and reporting on the news. We react to it and say, oh, that's terrible. Oh yeah, no, taxpayer. No, you really need to look under the hood and study how your taxes go up. If you can't just open your heart and see this as a moral compass issue, see it as an economic one too. I'll take whatever I can get at this point. We will, because this must not continue. These private payouts, because people really don't remember the payouts, and people who lose their lives, and then they're put on trial. Let's get the prosecutors who think this is a great tactic too. That's about moral compass and protecting all people. If you go into this industry as a prosecutor and you value certain people over others, and this could even be, by the way, a prosecutor of color who's trained in a system, because it's about the system, not the person, okay, who's just plugged into the system. We have to learn our history and then see and do it honestly, by the way, see where we end up after we take an honest look at what really happened, because that'll show us how we got here. Am I wrong, Mayor?
You're not wrong at all. I'll tell you something else as well. You're talking about taking a look at prosecutors. You remember talking about this, attacking cases in this manner or getting rid of cops and also prosecutors who are showing up in a way that's not productive to community, treating people equitably, became a huge thing for George Soros. And when he started supporting the ideal of progressive DAs and judges, that's when he started getting, this anti-Semitic hate from the right and other people about his control over politicians on the left. And I think people should be aware of that, because what we were actually doing with that work was going after these DAs who were excluding Black people from jury selection because of their hair, because of their name, because of their style of clothes. So we watched, for instance, a great example of this is Forrest Allgood in Mississippi, who was one of the worst DAs in the country, got put on the list as one of the worst DAs in the country for how he treated Black people in the 5-county area in Mississippi. And we got rid of him using that work. And I think people saw how effective it could be, telling people the truth about these prosecutors. And that work is kind of being tempered down now. It's not funded as much. So people don't want you going after DAs. They want you to keep talking about settlements, and that's it.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. They don't want you going after these district attorneys unless they're prosecuting 45. Okay, then they, might be political motivated. Got to get her out of here. The Georgia legislature is on her butt. Okay. Well, listen, the pint-sized prosecutor, Fonnie Willis, she's not going anywhere. Okay, we're going to see what happens. A lot of mistakes were made, a lot of time delayed there, but we'll see what happens. But you're absolutely right. We've got to open our eyes and do the homework and see if we can do better as a result. Give you an update now on another story. Governing board has reinstated the cop who shot 11-year-old Jordan. Barely look at his face. He's just, wouldn't you love a son like that? I would. I would. How does a little boy like that get shot? Let's give you the reminder. According to Atlanta Black Star, governing board in Mississippi has voted to reinstate police officer Greg Capers, who was suspended after he shot 11-year-old Darian Murray, who had called police to his home earlier this year to help resolve a domestic dispute involving his mother. During a special session, the city of Indianola Board of Aldermen voted 4-1 to clear the way for Sergeant Greg Capers to return to duty more than 7 months after the incident. The board also voted to prohibit the release of police body cam footage of the incident. Whose side are you on? That's just my simple question. Whose side are you on? I'm a member of the public and it's too painful and I don't want to look at it. That's my decision. But in an open society where you're supposed to protect everyone and you're working for us, that's not your decision. At least it shouldn't be. Immediately after the May 20 shooting, Capers was placed on paid administrative leave. But a month later, the board voted 4-1 to suspend Capers without pay, pending the outcome of an internal affairs probe and a grand jury investigation, which ended last week with no criminal charges against Capers. The December 21st reinstatement became effective immediately, according to attorney Michael Carr, who represented Capers during the inquiry, on behalf of the Mississippi Division of the Police Benevolent Association. We should talk about the Police Benevolent Association too at some point. And a Black Star with the details. Meanwhile, Darian and his family attended the meeting. And as the board voted to reinstate Capers, a surge of emotions overcame the boy, and he had to be taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Now, see, those are real tears and real fear. Real tears, real fear when a little boy who has just learned at 11 years old, perhaps, that the system is not made to protect him. It's not made to protect him. So everything you perhaps learned in school, find an officer, get help, all of that. He's very confused now. Emotions running high and probably did. Absolutely, not just a precaution, need that trip to the hospital. Attorney Carlos Moore told CNN Darian Murray suffered an anxiety attack during the meeting, which resulted in him bleeding from his mouth and nose. This unfortunate incident only underscores the deep, ongoing trauma that Darian and his family are experiencing. Murray previously spoke about the trauma he faced with CNN.
He said, everybody come out with your hands up. Then I came running inside the living room. Then I remember I heard the big bang. Then I just remember holding my chest.
As he laid in his mother's arms, bleeding out from a gunshot wound, 11-year-old Darian Murray was so convinced he was going to die, he began to pray to God and sing gospel songs.
I was thinking like I'm going to die. Tell my whole family, tell my teacher. I say I'm sorry for what I did.
Darian's mother says he developed a collapsed lung and suffered fractured ribs and a lacerated liver due to the gunshot wound. He spent days in the ICU at the University of Mississippi Medical Center in Jackson, needing a ventilator to breathe.
It came right here.
More than a week since the shooting, he is remarkably in good spirits, but says sometimes when he's alone with his thoughts for too long, he has nightmares.
Sometimes I can see myself laying inside the coffin. Them are my thoughts at night, my only ones. And sometimes I think people are watching me. But my main thought is me dead.
If that officer was here, sitting right here across from you, what would you want to tell him, Darian?
Why did you do it? I could have lost my life all because of you. I want you terminated for what you did to me.
As a journalist who's interviewed so many people, I can tell when someone's been coached. Not this kid. There's a lot going on, a lot of thoughts, and with all due respect to the reporter, it was a comprehensive report, but I don't see an 11-year-old who's, quote, remarkably in good spirits. I see an 11-year-old who's forever changed and will never be the same again, already traumatized by a domestic violence situation, and history tells us it had to be going on for perhaps some time in his life. He'll never, never call the police again. That is my prediction. And why would he? No one's in trouble. The officer, and again, it doesn't matter what color the officer is, it's about the system and who gets the benefit of the doubt, how quickly they act. They're beyond reproach. Officer probably even got back pay. Okay, you got to understand how these things work. They look good in a little newspaper heading and reporters who don't do much digging beyond it. But you got to understand how these things work. Probably got all the back pay because they don't want to set a precedent here for anything less than the officer shall be exonerated. A little boy forever changed. Who could he have been had this not happened? I think about all these things, Mayor.
Yeah, my first job was the Marine Corps, the United States Marine Corps. And this kid sounds like some of my fellow Marines who've been in war. He was shot at 11. Why does a kid know what that big bang and then the next step to hold the bullet wound? How is that okay in this country? How do you know that this child live in this town in Neola and also have that cop still serve? Where is the thought for with this kid, the trauma? This is the epigenetic trauma I've talked about, what it means to be Black. Not to mention, when I heard this kid say, I just saw myself in the casket, all I could think about is he lives 30 miles from where Emmett Till was killed in Drew, Mississippi. Indianola is 30 miles up the street where 14-year-old Emmett Till was murdered. And it does not look like there's any different right then. Back then, the Mississippi State Bureau of Investigation investigated that. This time they had an internal probe, and then both of them gave us the same outcome. A little Black boy shot and could have been killed. And in one case, the little Black boy was killed, shot several times, and then a lot of other things. But what we see is Mississippi, Dixieland, America, from Canada to Mexico, damn sure don't care about little 11-year-old boys. And if they did, there's no way this guy would be an officer anywhere in this country.
Yeah, you said it so well, so eloquently. You know, there's this saying, Mayor, where health is wealth. You know what else is wealth? Hope. Not only do you shoot my baby, okay, a great kid. Could you not tell the things he was talking about, thanking and apologizing to his teacher for whatever he did? Really? This kid? You shot him, and then you told him he didn't matter. You shot him again in the system. Where's the hope? Why should I work hard? Why should I dream? That's the biggest fear here, okay? He knows very well it could happen again. That's why he pictured himself in a coffin. He believes he dodged death this time at age 11, having done nothing wrong. Who might he be if we would get rid of this systemic racism, these systems, these descendants of slave patrols? Who could he be? Maybe he will cure cancer. Maybe the next time we have a pandemic, he could be the one to get that vaccine. Who could he be if you would just lift this burden from him and the rest of Black America? Couldn't we all benefit? I mean, I'm being too hopeful, Mayor. I'm being too dramatic, perhaps. But that's just the way I think about this really disgusting stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there were any dramatics in your statement. I think that's a great question. And the sad part about it is this kid is still searching for answers. He didn't have any hate for the officer. When he was asked, what would you say if this officer was here? He didn't say, I would say, I hate you, or I wish you were gone. He said, you deserve this, have consequence to your actions. You shot an 11-year-old unarmed kid who called you for the protection of his mother. You shot him. And you still get to keep your job. So this kid is asking for why. Now we've built another Black man, a little boy right now, but that will become a Black man that cannot sit alone in his room with his own thoughts from the fear of thinking about death.
Mm-hmm. And he's learned that.
And we don't believe America is broken.
And he's learned that he doesn't deserve justice, not in the American way. This is indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Rashad Ritchie, Mayor of Enfield, North Carolina. Mayor Mondale Robinson is our special guest co-host today. We're right back.
magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes.
I'm hosting today.
Now I know what you're thinking, JR, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This idea. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw, all hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. You know, say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I want to thank the team, such a powerful team who puts the show together. It's just incredible, the work that they do. They work so hard, so efficiently, and such passion. Just like you at home, who are loyal TYT supporters, indisputable supporters, and you get it. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Richie today. Mayor Mondale Robinson is our special guest co-host. You know him well. YouTube. About Manuel Ellis. Kyle CH says, Internal Affairs probably ruled it okay 3 years ago and is just waiting to release their findings, so it looks like they spent time investigating in some way. Like I said, you get it. You don't need 3 years, on with body cam footage. You have all the details. And yet, there's no leadership here. It's really sad. Manuel Ellis is dead. Witnesses dispute that police had any reason to stop him. They said it was unprovoked, okay? Police said something different. YouTube member, The Jack, thank you for your contribution. Public defenders, like prosecutors, work for the court, not you. Sadly, you have to know the whole system, right? Why do you think public defenders are overloaded with cases, not much time, and not much money? Why do you think there's so many plea deals? They have lunch with prosecutors and they have ambition and they want more. And so it's all part of the same system. You're just the odd man out a lot of times. Cop reinstated, Adam Scott says, boy, this is so true. Made that woman pay the cop that shot her son with her tax dollars. Effectively, that is exactly. You're right, Adam. That's exactly what has happened here. They do have a civil suit pending, but have to go all the way, just to try to get what's fair in the American system. One more for you. And I hate to read this one, but you know what, Jack? You said it. Of course he's reinstated. He'll kill his own. Now this boy has to think about the cop who tried to kill him is free. You don't matter. I added that part. That's what it feels like. That's what it is too often. Haley, Nikki Haley, declines to say slavery was the cause of civil war. I'll let you listen.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was? I'm sorry?
I'm not the president. I wanted to see your view on the cause of the Civil War.
I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government. What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you answered my question. Thank you.
Next question.
When you think about the highest office in the land and who you would like to lead it, all the people, I just want you to remember that answer. Okay? It was brief, incomplete, deflection, and then a little belligerent at the end. How dare you ask me? I mean, to me, this is the softest question in the world, teed it up for her. You're running for governor. I mean, you're running for the presidency, Governor Haley. And you don't want to answer that? Are the people before you, the people who support you, the people who support you want so fragile that you can't talk about the Civil War and slavery, the big elephant in the room? Okay? You can't talk about that, and you want to be president of the United States. It's not, I can't even use a word like transparency. Haley, the former UN ambassador, South Carolina governor, was appearing at a town hall event in Berlin, New Hampshire. Everybody wants to be in New Hampshire. When asked that question, the exchange took place roughly an hour and a half into the town hall event. I noticed the smile too. She smiled as she walked back and began to think, okay, how am I going to dodge this one? What are you smiling about? It's a very serious subject, one that altered the course of history in this country. Not enough, apparently. Haley was governor when South Carolina removed the Confederate flag from government grounds in 2015. That was following the shooting at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in June 2015. Prior to then, she defended states' rights to secede from the United States in a 2010 interview with a local activist group, as CNN reported, Politico, with the reporting there. Let's jog your memory further with a clip from that interview.
What's your belief about the reason the Civil War was fought?
I mean, again, I think that as we look in government, as we watch government, you have different sides. And I think that you see passions on different sides. And I don't think anyone does anything out of hate. I think what they do is they do things out of tradition and out of beliefs of what they believe is right. I think you had one side of the Civil War that was fighting for tradition, and I think you had another side of the Civil War that was fighting for change. You know, at the end of the day, what I think we need to remember is that, you know, everyone is supposed to have their rights. Everyone's supposed to be free. Everyone's supposed to have the same freedoms as anyone else. So, you know, I think it was tradition versus change is the way I see it.
Tradition versus change on what?
On individual rights and liberty of people.
Except for Black people. Come on, knock it off. Except for Black people. And I really hate, Mayor, that while I appreciated it at the time because just wanted it to end and for certain things like that flag to come down in South Carolina, I hate that she gets so much credit for what she had to do, basically. And when did she finally do it? When the blood of 9 Bible study Black churchgoers got blown away inside the place that they worshiped. And now we're supposed to believe that this was great courage by a leader who won't even tell the truth about the Civil War, why it came to that, won't tell the truth. I'm disgusted in 2 ways, Mayor. Number one, as someone who's been in media for my whole adult life, and it was trained people, I know I could have trained her to give a more an answer that could have given her what she wants, which is to hold on to a basket of people who perhaps aren't worth holding on to, but she needs them to win, and could have allowed her more dignity. But I'm also disgusted because I wouldn't want to train. I wouldn't want to do that, okay? Because I really need to know who you are, and this is who you are. You don't care about me. You don't care about a little boy who got shot by police and is getting no justice. You don't care. You just want that power, huh? By any means necessary.
Here's my problem. The true chronicling of this problem or this mistelling of history is not new for Nikki Haley, the politician, or she has a long history, as you just you illustrated 2010, 2015, 2019, 2023. What's amazing to me and what people are missing is who are the people that are offended by telling the truth that the Civil War was fought for slavery. Mind you, that we are a country that supposedly honor our veterans, and those who seceded from this union kill more American soldiers than any other one war in the history of our nation. So how can you be patriotic and American loving and veteran supporting and afraid to tell the truth that all of those brave troops died for two things: slavery to end and also to keep the union together? That's it. So when in the interview, you see who Nikki Haley truly is. She is spineless. You want this endorsement of, Politico and CNN should do better. Sons of Confederate is not a local group. Sons of Confederate is a national, damn near hate group. They walk around talking about the Confederate is about tradition. And when she says the war was about tradition or change, she's using their language. It was not about which tradition. The tradition of owning Negroes, the tradition of owning Black souls is a tradition of reason they were fighting. So in 2010, when she said it, she was wrong. And then in 2019, when she did it again, she was wrong. After she said that the white man who walked in that church, Mother Emanuel, and killed those 9 people praying, when she said he bastardized the flag, and that flag to so many people in South Carolina means honor, and it's about history and ancestry. Yes, it is about honor. Yes, it is about history and ancestry. Unfortunately, that history and ancestry is slavery. It's owning people. It's ugly and nasty. And the fact that she will not say that except for today. Yesterday, she didn't have the courage to say it in that town hall because she is spineless. That is not a leader. John McCain is the last Republican I've seen with leadership traits. When someone says something about Barack Obama being unpatriotic or whatever, he said, no, he's a great man with great morals. We just don't see the world the same.
Yeah.
That does not exist in this Republican Party.
No, it doesn't.
What she do every time is after she'll say something like this, she'll get an op-ed in the Washington Post or the New York Times, or she'll get a chance to clarify the next day and be like, of course it was about slavery. But what's really dastardly to me, and I'm gonna shut up after this woman, Nikki Haley, exists in the capacity, all of the luxuries she had in the United States is off of the back of Black people. And what do I mean by that? I'm not just talking about the fights and the gains of Black civil rights movement. I'm talking about the fact that she moved to a community that was the supporting system in that community was an HBCU, Historical Black College, where her dad's money came from, that awarded her to go to college and stop calling herself Namarata and start calling herself Nikki so she can whiten up her image and run for governor. So the nasty part about this woman, what really pisses me off, is the fact that she stole from our community all of this resource and access that we are not awarded. And now she pretends our suffering didn't happen.
She speaks to it too when she values a certain constituency and doesn't even care what we think about her words. So I'm pissed off too. Now I'm pissed off too. It's disgusting what she's up to. Absolutely disgusting, Mayor. And I also think that, there's this debate, she's got to be the alternative. Look how bad Trump is. We can have a debate about who's worse, but I happen to think that there's people who've written Trump off as exactly who he is. Perhaps not enough. And then you have someone who looks stereotypically more reasonable, looks like she's middle of the road, and therefore everyday Joes may give her a chance they wouldn't give him, which makes her perhaps more dangerous. We are out of time, Mayor. I'll give you the last quick word, and then you got to tell people where they can find more of your commentary. And I'd like to say history lessons too, because I don't feel like I'm even sitting in a classroom, but I learn from you every day.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for calling me, having me on the show with you. Just the last word on Nikki. I think she is more dangerous than Trump because she understands how the mechanism of government work, and we see that she's spineless. Trump's going to be Trump regardless. I feel like Nikki Haley will go with whatever the people around her tell her, and that could be dangerous. You can find me at Mondale Robinson everywhere on social media.
Yep. He's all over the place. And keep fighting the good fight. Let us know when you need reinforcement, Mayor, okay? From the powers that be. You fight the powers, and we're right there with you. I'm Sharon Reed. Honor always to sit in the chair for Doc. Thank you for watching Indisputable. We hope you will stay loyal.